Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to show you the last of the bunch from the new Fiendsmith support decks here. The new Memento stuff, which is really a cool deck. This was a cool deck before. We can quickly take a look at the deck list. This is a YCS topping deck list, but we have the new support cards that we are still missing here. I will show you the combo in a moment. The Mementolian Sleepy as well as the Mementolian Tetuchlika Creation King. The cool thing is that we are getting these cards soon, I guess, and we will basically only need 2 more ultra rares. I guess this one will be an ultra rare, and then the Sleepy will probably not be an ultra rare, but you only need 1 Sleepy, and then this deck is really cheap because it is already very cheap. We have 2 Anguishes here, which is the only ultra rare of the archetype, together with I think the boss monster is also an ultra rare if I remember this correctly. So really not an expensive archetype, but definitely a very strong one, especially in the future, especially with the Fiendsmith engine. I have showed you Fiendsmith Jubel, Fiendsmith Snake Eyes Azamina. If you have not seen these videos, they are in the top right corner. By the way, if you like my videos, please consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up and the notification bell. But this deck will also get way better with the new Fiendsmith support. Obviously, it will also get better with its new support of Sleepy and Tetuchlika Creation King. But let me show you what this deck can do in the future, and if the Jubel deck as well as the Snake Eyes deck, they get their hits and we have the Fiendsmith stuff, this might just well be the strongest deck in the game after that, depending on whether we have Tenpai Dragon at that point or not. So we are starting with the Anguish here. You know the card, but we can normal summon it and add 1 Memento monster from the deck to our hand. We can add the core card, the Seahorse basically, which can, if we only control no monsters or only Memento monsters, special summon itself, and then it can destroy a card on the field, so itself, and can send monsters, or is it cards? I think it's monsters from the deck to the grave, whose level equals the level of the destroyed monster, in this case 5, which is nice because having cards in the graveyard, Memento monsters in the graveyard, is definitely the core thing of the deck, is destroying their own cards to gain advantage. So we are sending the Goblin, the Getic, and the Mace. And now we can use the Getic's effect because it was sent to the graveyard. It can be special summoned, and when it is special summoned, we can target 1 Memento card in our graveyard and add it to the hand. We are going to activate to add the Goblin to our hand. And the next thing we are going to do is use Anguish, second effect, where we can also destroy a level 2 or lower Memento monster, or we can target it and we can destroy another Memento monster we control and then special summon it. So we destroy the Getic and we summon the Mace. Mace can now also be activated, effect, to destroy 1 Memento monster we control and add 1 Memento card from our deck to our hand. We are grabbing the Fusion spell. So this is the shtick of the deck, where it always wants to like destroy cards to get advantage, and you basically want to circle through all of the names, use their destruction effect to gain advantage. We get the Mementolian Fusion, which is very nice. We can fusion summon, and if we have destroyed something this turn, which we have, then we can also fusion summon from the graveyard, shuffling stuff back into the deck, and then we can also banish this card, destroy 1 Memento monster we control, and add 1 Memento spell trap from deck to hand if we wanted to, but in this combo we won't. So we can activate the Fusion now. We are shuffling back from our graveyard, firstly the Tutsuchi Nugoshu and then the Mace, to summon the first important fusion monster, the Twin Dragon. On summon says, if this card is fusion summoned, we can destroy 1 Memento monster in hand or field, and if we do, we add up to 2 Memento monsters with different names from our deck to our hand. We get the new Sleepy as well as the boss monster Tetuchlika, and then if this got destroyed by a card effect, which it got by its own, then we can also activate it to summon back from the graveyard a Memento monster. We get back the Getic here. Then what we can do here is we make the Cross Sheep. You know this from the new Jubel lines that we have in Master Duel, where we can use Cross Sheep and then fusion summon the Phantom of Jubel to get advantage. Here we can do the same because Mementolian Sleepy says during the turn a monster in your possession was destroyed by card effect. It was. We can special summon this guy, and then on summon we can fusion summon with Sleepy. So Sleepy is a new way to fusion summon, which fits perfectly because the other new card that we have gotten, the Creation King, is also a fusion monster. So we fusion summon with all of these 3 here into the new card, the Mementolian Tetuchlika Creation King. You can manage this card from our graveyard, add 1 Mementolikan, so the field spell, from deck to hand. We will do this in a moment here. And then if this card is a fusion summoned, we can send 3 Memento cards from deck and or extra deck to the graveyard, and then also quick effect, we can target an equal number of Memento monsters we control and cards our opponent controls and destroy them. So this is an interruption as well as like a continuance to our plays, because we can send stuff to the graveyard which we can then use to continue the play. So we are sending we are activating the chainings now. Cross Sheep is 1 because we are fusion summoned in a zone here. We can special something from the graveyard, and then then the Tetuchli card will activate the effect I just read here. We are sending another Tetuchli card from the extra deck to the graveyard. This is why we are playing 2. We want to summon 1 and send the other one, because I have read the second effect where we can banish this guy to add a 1 Memento field spell from the deck to our hand, which we will do in a second here. Then we will also send the Dark Blade as well as the Cranium Burst. And now Cross Sheep can, and this is why we have to go Chain Link 1 and Chain Link 2, Cross Sheep can now summon the Dark Blade out, which we have not used yet and we can use now. This is very nice. And the Cranium Burst we will be able to set via our field spell in the end phase. So we are going to grab, and I did forget to add the field spell. Oh no, we are getting the field spell via the banishment, sorry. So we are getting the field spell, Memento. We are going to activate this, and now we can use Dark Blade, destroy Dark Blade, and Dark Blade will then summon or special summon a level 3 or lower Memento monster from our deck. We will get the mace here, and now we can also trigger the field spell because something was destroyed. We can special summon from hand or graveyard. We are getting the Goblin because Goblin is the one we have not yet used. Then we are going to link away these two into a Moon of the Closed Heaven, and here's where the Fiendsmith engine comes into play. I've showed you this in the past replays. We have the Fiendsmith as well as Fiendsmith Tractus, the Fabled Lurry, and then the extra deck monsters consisting of Desiree, Fiendsmith Lacrima, the Princess, Nekkuku Princess, and Aerial Eater, which are TCG exclusives, Moon of the Closed Sky, and the Fiendsmith Sequence. So quite a big package here. We are getting the Closed Heaven, which Closed Heaven now goes into the Link 1 Fiendsmith monster, Fiendsmith Requiem. We can now activate the effect to summon another Fiendsmith Engraver. And now we can use the Fiendsmith Engraver as well as the combined Creation King to go into Fiendsmith Sequence, the Fiendsmith Fusion Link monster, which needs a Light Fiend, which is why we needed to use the Fiendsmith Engraver here. Now we can activate this to fusion summon from our graveyard and our hand and our field to shuffle the stuff back into the deck or extra deck. We're shuffling back Moon of the Closed Sky, Fiendsmith Requiem, and then also the Fiendsmith Engraver. And we are going to get our Fiendsmith Desiree. If you do not remember what this card does, if we have another Fiendsmith monster equipped to this, so we will equip the sequence later on, then this has, or is basically a field Omni Negate, non-targeting up to the number of link rating on the card, so in this case 2, so we can quick effect, non-target negate 2 cards on the field or up to 2 cards on the field with the Fiendsmith Desiree. Now we are going to link away these two into an Appaloosa. That makes sense. 2 level 2s make a 1/6 Appaloosa, which 1/6 is one of the best Appaloosas that you can make, because if it gets taken by triple tactics talents, it doesn't really like destroy your entire turn. Because obviously if your opponent grabs your Appaloosa, then it's very bad, because then he can use the negates against you. Then we can from the graveyard equip the Fiendsmith Sequence, and now we are going from the graveyard going to summon our boss monster here, the Memento Tetuchlikan Combined Conqueror. Or combined creation, that is. And then in the end phase, we will activate the field spell to set the Cranium Burst. And if you're not aware of what this does here, the Cranium Burst basically says that we can negate a monster effect activated on the field by reducing the attack and defense points of one of our Memento monsters by 1000. So in theory, this 5000 combined creation can have, or has basically 5 monster field negates. We have 2 Appaloosa, like monster Omni negates, and then we have this non-targeting Omni field negate here with the Desiree negating 2, which is very nice because we could, for example, negate a Dark Ruler, we can negate an Evenly. And if you're asking how you can negate a Dark Ruler in theory, if, for example, we would have another card, let's say the Cranium Burst is on our field and it is still flipped down and our opponent activates a Dark Ruler. Dark Ruler says that we cannot chain monster effects, so we cannot activate or deactivate the Dark Ruler with our Fiendsmith Desiree. But if we then go chain link 2, activate Cranium Burst, which we can because this is a trap card, then we can go chain link 3, activate Desiree, because then we have activated Desiree in response to our own trap and not in response to the Dark Ruler, which is very nice. And then obviously in our opponent's turn, you know this already, we can also activate when our opponent activates an effect, our combined creation to special summon from the graveyard, our Anguish. Anguish can then go ahead and search the maze, which we can then use quick effect to steal one of our opponent's monsters. This is also an interruption we have, so the token represents an opponent's monster. So what we have here is steal an opponent's card. We have 5 on the field Omni negates, or monster negates. We have 2 Appaloosa monster negates, and then we have this Omni up to 2 cards negates from the Fiendsmith Desiree. And obviously we also have stuff in the graveyard that we can use for follow-up, for example banishing the Memento Infusion if we destroy something on the next turn. So very, very strong, very consistent here. And yeah, together with the Fiendsmith engine, this will be very strong. It's cool that you can combine this engine with basically everything the Fiendsmith engine that is, especially because you can just make an early Appaloosa, for example, or a Beatrice. You have also a line available to you, which is cool. If you only start with Fiendsmith Engraver, you have seen this in the other decks where you can access your entire Jubel engine, where you can access your entire Snake Eyes engine. This is also possibly here with the Engraver, where you will then send with your Beatrice to the graveyard, I think the Mace it is, and then you can add one of your starters like your Anguish or the Darkblade, which is just insane. Let me know in the comments what you think. Did you like Memento? I know that a lot of people were playing it when it came out, but then it kind of like died. I've never seen it on the ladder since. I think this is a very, very fun deck. I also like the artwork because if you're not aware, all of these artworks are basically old cards. So if, for example, we should be able to find Darkblade. Darkblade is normally this old normal summon monster here, and this is basically a retrain. Then we have Gaddock, which is like Ghost Gaddock or Ghost of the Attic or something like this. Ghost of the Attic, I think. Yeah, this one here. So Ghost of the Attic. This is the Gaddock here, and we have Anguish, which I'm not quite sure. This is not Mystic Sand, the old fusion card, but another one. But these are all retrains of older cards, which I think is super cool, a super cool idea. But let me know in the comments what you think of Memento. Are you hyped for the new Memento support, also in the form of the Fiendsmith engine? Let me know in the comments, and we will see each other in the next one.